Welcome to your doom.
How do we start this again? It's been a while.
However.
Like this? Does that sound good? I think this is good. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. This is Atul.
This is Justin.
And we have a special guest here again today, Mr. Sudip Gate, that rhymes with latte. How's it going, Sudip?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. We invited Sudip today because we will be talking about Locke and Key, and we said that anytime there's anything Stephen King related, we're going to have Sudip on the show.
Oh, is that what it is?
And
you're like the Stephen King consultant.
Yeah.
And this book is not written by Stephen King, but it is written by Joe Hill.
His spawn.
His seed, if you will. The seed of Stephen King, which sounds like another horror novel in and of itself.
Yeah, it really does.
You're giving him ideas.
First things first, how was your Halloween, Justin?
Oh my god. Don't ever try and find a fucking pumpkin like the day of Halloween. I thought it'd be easy, man. Like I didn't think it was like a thing that everybody's like, oh, we all need to steal to buy all of the pumpkins. Can't steal.
What did you do?
Buy all of the pumpkins?
What did you do, Justin? Did you go up to somebody's porch and just jack their pumpkin?
Dude, it crossed my mind. after I went. Okay, so this was my Halloween. I thought, okay, I'm gonna go and get some pumpkins like midday and this and that because I've seen some like jack-o'-lanterns getting smashed on my street, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't want that, right?
Yeah.
Last year I had them pre-carved and I had them in the back, and then I could have done that, but I thought, fucking like Halloween. Who's like, there's gonna be leftover pumpkins, right? Or so I would think.
Yeah.
Went to one grocery store, nothing in the front. I'm like, I guess they don't have anything. I went in, didn't see anything. The second one, same shit. And then I went up to somebody working there. I was like, got any pumpkins? They're like, no. I was like, oh, okay. So then I go to the next one. Same shit. Third. Then I went to the fourth. And while I was going there, I'm like, wait a minute. I'm going around like a sucker. I'm going to start calling places too. Went there, nothing. And then I called 2 other places. They didn't have anything.
No.
That was the point when I was driving home. I was like, who's got a fucking pumpkin? I'm gonna steal.
That's
low.
But
I was tempted.
Low, my friend.
I was tempted. I was
low.
legitimately pissed that day because I didn't get to carve a pumpkin.
Damn.
I got off Halloween.
Yeah.
Just me, sad, sitting on the couch eating fucking O. Henry's.
Oh, fuck. That's what I was just doing.
Yeah,
here.
with my goddamn candy.
Oh, jeez.
We're in
I feel
Studio
disgusting.
Carcassoli right now, so...
I feel disgusting. You left me alone here hungry with a bowl of Halloween candy, and that is not a good combination, let me tell you.
It was cruel and unusual.
Yeah. Sudip, how was your Halloween? Did you get up to anything, or...?
Well, I went out with some friends, but I carved my first pumpkin.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Congratulations. You
Never
never carved a
pumpkin
pumpkin
before.
Seriously?
Did you pull out the guts with your bare hands?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta get in there.
Got my elbows in there.
Yeah.
There's a thick pumpkin.
Lose your watch in there?
No,
Yeah.
it's the other hand.
That's right. Good move.
No,
yeah.
that's fun. Like, I'd never carved a pumpkin before.
Cool. And how did it turn out? Turn out all right, or was it just like?
Oh no,
it
it
just
was
look
good.
like...
Yeah, it's sitting in my balcony in my condo right now.
Nice. Sick. Excellent. So you did go out though? Were there a caution? Like you went out on the Saturday?
Yeah, I went out this Saturday with
Yeah.
some friends. Dressed up as the Fonz, which nobody really got.
Ooh.
Wrong era, man.
Yeah.
Wrong. The color of your skin would be a big throw off. Like,
I needed the big hair. That's what I was missing.
was it? Yeah.
But if I went,
I feel like a
"Hey,"
brown
then people got
Fonzie.
it.
Yeah. Oh, when you did the
Somewhat-
A. Yeah.
somewhat.
Yeah.
Even
yeah.
then, they're like, "Who are you?"
Were you just wearing a leather jacket you already owned?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So-
It's very easy.
yeah.
It's
The
lazy
white
costume.
shirt. The white shirt
Exactly,
and the leather
and the
jacket.
jeans and-
Yeah. Did you act like a douche?
I did.
Oh, perfect. So all things you normally do, and you
Yeah,
hold the
exactly.
clothes
It's
already,
like after
so
a few
everything's
drinks,
okay.
the Fonz is going to come out anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
Might as well dress the part.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I had a party. I had that party on Saturday where I had like 8 or 9 people over. We all carved pumpkins, and it was raining during the day. But it stopped at around 6 o'clock. Then we had the barbecue, and then we did the fire pit at night. It was perfect. Honestly, it was great. We had a really good time. So I had like 7 pumpkins on my driveway. Sorry, on my in the yard. And on Halloween, I had this sheet that's doubling for a curtain, and it's kind of sheer. So I projected a film.
Yeah.
Like I was projecting a movie on there as people were coming in. It got a lot of compliments. Like even the next day, I was like, getting stuff out of the car like couple days later, and they're like, "Hey," like the kid comes up, it's like, "Oh, you had all the pumpkins on your, in your yard." I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Oh, we really liked how the mom came by." She's like, "Yeah, like it was pretty cool. So I was like, hey, made a good first impression in the neighborhood. My neighbor, on the other hand, though, shut the fucking lights off. It was dark as shit. He did not want anybody near his house.
Well, you overshadowed
He
him.
just shut down. And
You know what it probably was? He probably couldn't get a fucking pumpkin. 'Cause you and the guys bought all the pumpkins.
Yeah, we
pumpkins.
bought like. Actually, we ended up with 9, but 2 of my friends took theirs. I told everyone they can take theirs. You can leave it here. Either way is fine.
Yeah.
Most of them ended up leaving it there, but then like 2 took. So I actually had 9. And then my wife carved one, which ended up being Sam from Trick or Treat.
I saw it.
Really good, really good, and she's great at it. She's a perfectionist though. She really works hard at it. For me, I just like the traditional jack-o'-lantern. You know, the eyes and the nose, and then like the giant toothy smile. I love that. It's classic, and that's probably what I'm going to stick with. Anyway, yeah. So that was Halloween. That came and went. Now we're in November, and it's Remembrance Day this weekend.
This
Monday.
weekend, yeah.
This weekend. Are you guys off on
I don't
Remembrance
think
Day?
so.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
And then we're going into Christmas.
That's typically what happens after November.
Yeah. There's a couple of movies there that I feel like we should talk about at Christmas time. Anyway,
Like Christmas themed movies?
yeah, like Christmas themed movies. I got a couple of doozies in there, like really strange ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd do that. Like the Halloween episode, basically.
Yeah,
just
with a Christmas movie.
That'd
Yeah,
be fun.
yeah.
Sick.
Okay. I think we should just jump right into it because this is a huge series, so no news or anything. Just get right to it.
Let's do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Locke and Key. So, Locke and Key. Were you unlocking the air?
I was unlocking the air, man.
Perfect.
I'm sorry.
Perfect. That's great. That's a good thing to do for podcasting. Physical action.
Don't make fun of me.
Anyway, so Locke and Key, it's written by Joe Hill, who is Stephen King's son, and drawn by Gabriel Rodríguez, who is not Stephen King's son.
Good to know.
I'll take your word for it.
Perfect.
Looking at us for approval.
So, in general thoughts, this is a book that I'd read a couple of years ago. I read like maybe half of the series, and as it was coming out, I guess, and the rest wasn't out, and then I kind of lost track of it for many years. I mean, 5 years or so, 6 years, and then we were talking. We were talking about books to read and stuff, and Locke and Key came up. Because it's something that I remember enjoying very much, and I wanted to finish it, and we all sort of read it around the same time.
Yes.
So, Sudip, what did you think? Non-spoilery edition.
Oh no, I really enjoyed it. I'm very glad you recommended it to me. It's just like I was saying earlier, it's a solid run, but at the same time, it's not something that goes on forever.
Yeah.
Where it's easy to just kind of lose interest because
Right.
it's not the story's either not going anywhere or it's just too many arcs going on. I think it was just a very good length. The graphics were really well done. The story is really great. Is a very engaging read.
Yeah.
It had me hooked throughout.
Yeah.
For sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Justin?
From the very beginning, I was hooked. The whole concept, it's I don't know. There's something kind of magical in and of itself of locks and keys. I don't know.
Right.
Just like even as kids, like I remember like playing with my brother, thinking like if we use this key on this door, it would open to some other kind of world or something like that. Like you just crazy make believe young kids, whatever.
Sure,
but
yeah.
like and it was the same thing. I think that might also be a reason why I was so drawn to like Green Lantern. Is rings would be kind of a thing that. And it's these little things, little trinkets that you might not have all these big crazy toys or something, but you find ways to make things exciting.
Yeah.
And the concept of using keys in this kind of keys and locks in this kind of fantastic universe that Hill and Rodriguez has put together. I mean, it was just it spoke to kind of the child in me, but at the same time, the drama and the horror, frankly, because there's a lot of horror elements in these books too. It just spoke to me, man. It was this was one of the best reads I've had in a long time. I was speaking to my buddy Jeff about books yesterday, about the podcast in general, when I told him we were going to be recording this, and he had just finished or refinished, I think, the Dark Tower, and we were talking
really?
about
About the novels.
Yeah, the novels.
So you read them again.
He read them again, or he just finished the last couple. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. He might have revisited some of the earlier ones too.
Right.
But his good point, and I agree with him, is like when you sit down and you get to pick up like like a good graphic novel series or good series that has a solid beginning and a solid end, instead of like picking up like Spider-Man or something like that.
Kind of never ends.
It never ends, right? At some point he retcons and fucking he's dating Mary Jane again for the first time. It's like you don't care about that. But something like he was talking about Why the Last Man, which another amazing series.
I've only read the first trade for that, but
I got all 5 upstairs. You can literally walk
only
off.
5 trades?
They're yay size. The full whatever
big ass
editions with the hardcovers. So you take that. I'd love to do a podcast on that series too.
I'll read that.
It's phenomenal. Brian K. Vaughan, I think, right?
Vaughan, that's right.
I can't remember the artist off the top of my head, but anywho, this series was something that I said would be right up his alley because of that. It's got like solid, like, you know how it starts and you know how it ends. And that being said, and we'll talk about this later, there are some unanswered questions. Too,
certainly,
right?
And we're definitely going to have a chat about those because some of that, because the series was so good and I enjoyed it so much. It's just there were questions that went unanswered, and I actually am kind of pissed off.
I'm going to bet money we all probably are going to bitch about the same thing.
Probably. That's my guess. I got some quips. I got some gripes in here that are just like, they're super nitpicky. Anyway, we'll get into that later. General thoughts, absolutely loved it. This is totally up my alley. This coming of age sort of supernatural story. This is really just like, honestly, the King Dynasty. Like, this genre is, these guys own it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like the type of content, Stephen King has been releasing, and now Joe Hill releases this. What's great about this, you mentioned like the Spider-Man and the Batman and the X-Men, and so one of the things about superhero books and these characters is like they're like modern day myth, and they're like soap operas. They'll just never end. Right. And I think that's really interesting. There are actually soap operas are the only things that I can think of that are like similar to comic book superheroes, because not even like mythological characters like Zeus and Odin and like Shiva and like all these, like, people aren't writing new stories about them. There are stories that are passed down generation to generation, but nobody's writing anything new. But think of like Batman. When did Batman debut? Well, I don't want to get this wrong.
37, 38.
And consider that from then to now, not only is Batman's a staple of our like pop culture, but they're writing new stories.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like a whole different thing, a mythological thing that just keeps going.
Yeah.
The archetype lives. Yeah. And the same goes for all like the Spider-Mans and the Captain America and all that, and Superman. But a book like this has, like you said, has a beginning, a middle, and a definite end, and you can't even compare the two.
No.
This one tells a very succinct story. It knows exactly what it's going out to do. It has arcs and themes. It could stay. It doesn't have to retcon anything. Everything's planned. It's like a really great TV series that ends. Like Sopranos, or I can't even think of another TV show that has like a solid that sticks the landing. The Wire.
That's don't talk about that, because The Wire has been on my to watch list for probably half a decade.
Oh, it's great. It's
since I actually like people were recommending it.
It's some of the best TV
at least half a decade.
Seen.
Yeah, exactly.
It's amazing.
I've seen some of it. I just didn't have time.
Yeah. So yeah, like it's just a self-contained story. It's like it's a premier example of a comic series that has we said start, middle, end, but it's a consistent recommendation for me. If somebody's asking to hey, what book should I read? I suggest this one if they want something non-superhero. It's a great, it's a great way to let people know how great the comic book medium can be without showing them a superhero book. Not to say that superhero books are bad.
No.
I love them, right? But there's a stigma attached to comic books. People don't call superhero films superhero films. They call them comic book films, right?
Yeah.
That's like going to the movies and calling movies novel films.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? Comic books are a medium. They're actually associating the two together. This is an incredible example, and Why the Last Man is another one. And Scalped, I don't know if you've heard of that, but that's another one. There are like a lot of these series that are crime fiction, horror, fantasy, whatever it happens to be, but they're demonstrations of how incredible the medium can be and not be related to superheroes. So that's really, and this book just climbs to the top of the list in terms of recommendations. It's pretty graphic. Like there's some shit that goes on in this book that's pretty can be pretty unsettling. How'd you guys feel about that? Without getting into details, of course, just like the content.
What's the best way to put this? When it got that graphic, it was never gratuitous. That's a good way to use it.
Yeah.
It was never gratuitous. It was something that when it happened, it really was used well. It was like some shit is happening right now that's really serious. Time to start taking shit a little bit seriously that you're reading.
It definitely straddles a line, right? Because like Bodhi Locke.
No.
Beep.
No.
All right, listen.
We were talking about this earlier.
BODE.
Yes.
Okay. When I was going to school, they had something called a Bodhi plot. A Bodhi plot was, I don't even know where it comes from. I think it's named after the guy who invented or discovered it or whatever. A Bodhi plot is a Bodhi plot.
Yeah.
Okay?
And it's called, remember what this is too.
Right.
I know
can't remember what it
about.
is. I can't remember. But it's BODE. Like and that's why I was reading the name. Yeah, some kind of distribution. I was reading the name as Bodhi the entire time. But you guys have been reading it as...
Bode.
You sound stupid, but both of you.
How do you say Cody? Or how do you spell Cody?
Listen, guys. The English language is not a paragon of consistency. Okay?
I'm literally reading something right now on joehillfiction.informe.com. And the argument is, I've been reading it as Bode while my buddy has been reading it as Bodhi. And when he told me that, I made fun of him simply because did we just write this? Sudip, did you do this
while we were typing?
Simply because the name of the character Patrick Swayze plays in Point Break with Keanu Reeves. Oh, and just this guy can't write. Oh, and just because I can't read either. One of the two. Yeah. I like it. I'll mention that Keanu Reeves' character... Oh, fuck off. In Jody... Whatever. I don't care about that. It's Bode, like in Point Break. Or Bode... What's the name in Point Break?
I don't know. I don't know.
It rhymes... But it rhymes with Jody, if that helps. So maybe you might be right.
You know what? Both of you can fuck right off.
I'm not even kidding. This is getting into a
with
fucking...
with a Y at the end.
No, man.
Cody. Jody.
Yeah, but Jody... It doesn't matter. It doesn't. No, it doesn't matter, guys. Yes. If it's spelled that when it comes to names, the rules go out the fucking window.
You know what?
Okay?
We're gonna look
you can name someone anything and say it's pronounced a certain way, and nobody's gonna argue with you. Bodhi. So look, I'm reading Wikipedia.
No, hold on, time out.
The Bodhi plot wiki page says that Bodhi should pronounced as Boda. Okay.
So,
but I've always heard
like
it.
Choda?
I heard it pronounced as Bodhi, and I can't find another source on the web that supports Boda. The sources I find are Bode, Baude, Boadi, Bodhi, Bodhi, and I don't even know what variation the last one is. Just sounds like
time out.
Hold
on.
This is a lot.
I don't even know what I'm reading. It's some it's like some chat about the Bodhi plot. I don't know. Guys.
Oh, maybe not. I don't know. Whatever.
Guys, the point. Like, honestly, the point is that you're both wrong. So
we might be.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna call it Bode because if they wanted it to be Bodhi, they should put an I or a Y at the end of that shit and made it less ambiguous. But instead, I'm gonna call him Bode because it sounds better.
No, Bodhi sounds better.
It's
Bodhi
two syllables versus one.
Yeah.
Don't waste my fucking time. I got shit to do. I don't have time for that. Bode's name is mentioned a lot of times.
If you think that saying Bodhi on this podcast is gonna double the length. Because we have two syllables.
It absolutely will. Come on.
I'm sorry,
What's one?
I'm with
one.
Justin on this one.
What's two? It's 2 times 1. It's going to be twice as long. Do the math.
Simple ratio.
Simple fucking ratio.
Anyways,
I'm going to call him B Money. I'm going to turn this into 3 syllables and make this shit unambiguous.
All right.
Dude.
All right.
Yeah, it's not duty.
It's duty.
Nice.
Hey, duty.
Exactly.
What's up, duty? All right. So anyway, whenever Bodhi is in the story, he adds a certain amount of levity.
Yes.
To the events, and then it actually turns on a dime, but it's never jarring. Like I think they keep it grounded, and when it turns for something truly dark, it's earned. And I think that Joe Hill does a great job of pacing the book.
Yeah.
Such that, it's actually like hyper real dark fantasy through the eyes of a child.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. And a lot like, like Pan's Labyrinth kind of vibe to it.
And I think it's I think the tone is set from the very first issue. I mean, yeah, you got your main characters are all kids, but without getting into spoilers, there's kind of a violent episode that goes right on, and so you know what to expect going in. That there's kids in this story, but it's not a kid's story by any means.
No, you're right. That's a very good point.
And the other thing I want to mention is that this has the best single first issue I have fucking ever read. That thing hooked me line and sinker. I read that first issue and I was just blown away. I'm like, I need to read this whole series.
It was neat. There was in the scene where Tyler was sitting down while a lot of stuff was going around him.
Oh yeah.
There was a scene. It was neat where panel by panel. I don't think he moves, or he moves slightly.
No, he doesn't really.
But people come over to console him and talk to him and whatnot. And it was just those few panels alone were really interesting. So
we mentioned Joe Hill's writing and how he's spot on. He writes the kids really, really well.
Absolutely.
There's a couple of jarring dialogue moments that are really kind of like, ugh. But other than, there are few and far in between. When a book of this length centered around kids would have way more. Yeah. Typically, he's got a really good handle on writing kids. But we talked about a lot about the writer. Gabriel Rodríguez completely fucking knocks it out of the park in this book. The art is phenomenal. You mentioned the panels. He does that so many times during the book where things subtly change. You're almost like you're watching either like animation or a very detailed storyboard. And he uses it to such amazing effect when it comes to expressions changing from panel to panel, small things, subtle things changing from panel to panel. He does it really, really well. And I love those scenes because I'm scouring the panel to see what's changed. Why is he showing the same image more than once? And there's always a reason.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's an amazing book. And you know what? We're going to go into the spoilery bit, but for anybody that's listening up until this point that hasn't read these books, please stop listening to us right now and come back after you've started reading it. Because, and when I say after you've started reading it, this is a wholesale recommendation that we want you guys to go and listen to this, or read this book, and listen to this podcast. Put time into it. But no, definitely read these books. They're fantastic books, so get them wherever you can.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Any final words on the non-spoiler part? How do you think it compares to King?
Well, it's got some you can tell. Actually, if you hadn't told me that Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, I wouldn't have thought too much about it. But then knowing that, there's a bit of a similarity to It, for example, where the storyline is focused around kids, and it is the kids who are fighting evil or are facing the evil, and the grown-ups don't seem to see it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Very similar to It, where the spirit or the dark whatever being have you is only picking on kids and only kids who are affected by it.
Right.
So it has a kind of theme to it, which again I wouldn't have really put together if I had known that they were related. But,
right.
It doesn't have quite the horror aspect of it that some of Stephen King's book does. It's more of a kind of a adventure.
Yeah,
in a way that
I think it dabbles in both.
A little bit.
I think horror. Like abject horror is hard to convey in comics.
Yeah,
I think I think it's been done. It's been done very well. I think it's done well in this book, but I was never terrified in this book, right? But if I read a Stephen King novel like It, I'm actually I'll actually be scared.
Well, and the other thing is, there's a lot of humor used as well, which is almost never ever present in any Stephen King books.
I don't think that's entirely
No, not
true.
never. But he's not exactly known for having a lot of light moments and really easing the tension.
Sure.
Whereas here, there were parts which I thought were pretty clever and funny.
Yeah, that's right. Cool.
Well, let's start talking about spoilers. So again, turn back if you haven't read the books, and if you haven't read them, go read them. They're amazing.
Spoilers.
Okay, I want to start because this was the thing. I messaged you like a couple days ago. I was like, yo, I want to talk about this one thing. You're like, don't fucking say it. Let's save it for the podcast. What was the thing that bugged you guys the most about this book? I guess the one thing, maybe for me, I'll generalize it, is the thing that they didn't really tie up.
Well, I don't think I had one major thing.
Go to the one major thing. If there was one thing you had to pick.
If there's one thing I had to pick, it's going to sound really stupid, but okay, if I had to pick one thing, we'll get into everything, but it's there's kind of like the relationship between Tyler and no, I've forgotten her name. Jordan.
Yeah.
Jordan. I was very confused because at the end of one book, Jordan comes back after getting an essay from Tyler, and he gives it to her to hand in for her assignment. She ends up failing, being pretty fucking pissed off and livid about it.
Yeah.
Throws it back in Tyler's face. She's like, I never want to fucking talk to you again. And then like 2 issues later, they're together. They never actually, like, she leaves hating him, and then suddenly they're just together. I just looked for the moment in the book right here. We have the master editions here on the table, and I was just looking through it, and literally I could show you exactly where it happens, but they never explain
How they got back.
they even got back together. Like, it just kind of, I don't know. That was one thing I noticed, like, immediately.
Really?
Immediately, it was just something that jumped out.
Well, just to counter that, I don't think it bugged me that much because it was just the fact that I think she was also partially mad because he was just trying to help her and trying to be a nice guy, and
Well, she failed.
she failed. Yeah,
She failed, but you know what? He was trying to help her.
Yeah.
And he was trying to be a nice guy.
And she
Well, I'm not saying that it wouldn't
But
happen.
she's-
I just think like they just skipped a piece of logic. Like,
No,
they didn't
I think
tie
it's
it.
just that one scene where she's mad at him, but I don't think I took it as like that's it. Like she's never gonna talk to him again, and he was still
Right
kind
here.
of persistent in chasing her.
Oh, for God's sakes, you're not reading the fucking
I
book.
trusted you, and you fucked me, Locke. Odd. Every time I start to pity you a little, you turn into a fucking freak on me. Just stay the fuck away from me before you completely ruin my life. Those are the last words she says to him when she gets her marks,
Yeah.
right? And then a couple of issues later...
Are they just together again? There's
they're
no
just-
apology?
No.
I mean, it's not a
Well,
big
I don't
deal.
think
in
they're
my-
together. I think they're just hanging
No,
out.
no, they're like necking.
No.
No,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, dude.
You could
Right
do
here,
that,
they're all like,
100%.
they're together here.
Yeah.
And then they make references of like seeing each other.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that is Jordan.
they do.
Okay.
All right,
just-
okay, fine.
In any case,
Anyway.
but that being said, there is a lot of time that passes between a
Yeah,
fight
I
or
think-
getting mad at somebody. To me, it wasn't grounds for them to never talk again.
It's teenagers.
Yeah.
No, I know. I get it, but the book that goes into so much detail and goes way out of its way to say how mad she is,
Yeah.
they never it never addresses it. Anyway, I think that's like not a huge gripe. You obviously have. So do you have something? Do you have something that?
So, and I don't know if this is a gripe or just something I kind of had to reread or look up at other sources to truly understand. If we're skipping right into spoilers.
Oh yeah, we're in there.
Well, one thing is how at the end Bode comes
Oh,
back.
Bodhi comes back. Yeah. So
Right.
I had to look that up.
I had to look that up.
I didn't know how the
It
fuck that
wasn't
worked.
extremely clear to, and
No.
I think part of it is because
I-
it kind of references something that happens way earlier, and
The
you have to
animal key,
remember a
and
lot,
how
Yeah.
it works.
right?
Yeah.
And how
Yes.
these things work, and that's fair.
Yeah.
But it wasn't very obvious right away when it happens.
I could see that.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I had no idea. I saw it happen, and I was just like,
Yeah, it was like, huh?
yeah.
I got it, but the thing is so that I got pretty quickly, but that was also because with the amount of shit that what's his name Dodge had to go through to get reborn.
Yeah.
I was wrapping my head around that first. I was like, but wait, he had this and this and that, and then I was like,
Yeah.
wait a second. He thought about doing all of this on the fly? This
Yeah.
complex, crazy fucking like scheme to come back if he doesn't make it? Like
Yeah.
So that was my second gripe.
Yeah.
Is exactly that.
Yeah.
Is what his scheme to come back? Like
Yeah,
he
it
leaves
was-
a memory of himself in the well.
Yeah, like that was a little.
Well, no,
like,
it wasn't that he left a memory for himself in the well. It was that he put a memory in a jar along with a specific key and another specific key that will be able to get his memory out and be a real boy.
Oh, I see.
and leaving
Real
it to
boy.
chance that this would be
Yeah,
found and that
Broken
At some point.
Who
what's
breaks
her-
the jar?
What's her name?
Oh, the-
Ellie.
the Ellie,
yeah.
yeah.
So
Ellie Weed.
that was a lot left to chance, and it worked out perfectly for him.
Yeah.
It was all a backup plan for him too. He
Yeah.
knew he was going to succeed. He's just a pompous asshole,
Yeah.
right? So like it was just purely a plan C.
But it was such a convoluted
Yeah.
plan of like key dynamics saying like, oh well, I'll be in the well and I can't go out the door, but I can if I have this key, but I'll be a girl, but I can if I have this
Yeah.
key, I can go back. Like it's just like holy shit, he came up with that in the 2 second span and he's like, just in case.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
get the fuck out of here.
it was a very complex plan.
And that's
that's
the exact
formulated
same thing
way
with,
too easily.
Exactly. That's the exact same thing with B Money coming back.
B Money.
My gripe. This was my gripe because
Yes.
I was so fucking pissed because I saw something happen and I was like, "This is gonna be dope."
Let it go.
Rufus.
Yes, I agree. That was my. So I had two.
the thing.
I had two things. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that one. I had two other things. The way they treated Rufus and the way they treated Motoku. Like, the two characters that had huge potential.
Well, okay.
I feel
might
like,
disagree.
Yeah. But Rufus in particular, he has so much story. He has a lot of screen time. And it really just amounts to him picking someone up and dragging them to the well. Like, and they hint at him being truly special.
Mm-hmm.
The head key doesn't open his head, okay?
Yep.
And his soldiers talk back to him. And I thought there was going to be like some kind of crazy soldier figure army that he would bring to life, and I'm like, yes, it's gonna be awesome. And they're gonna fight the shadows or like something crazy at the end, and then it doesn't turn out to be that,
Right.
unfortunately.
Rufus is one of my favorite characters.
Oh,
they
me
don't
too,
develop him nearly as much as they should. I think
he gets a lot of screen.
he
time.
does get a lot of
He
screen
gets a
time,
lot of
but
screen
like
time.
you don't see much else outside of the fact that he's not, what's the most politically correct way to say it? I guess he's not quite right in the head. I don't know.
I mean, he's challenged,
developmentally challenged,
developmentally
something
challenged.
along those lines.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's a strong, amazing character.
Yeah, he is.
But there are those unique things. Why doesn't the head key work on him? Is it
Yeah.
because and I don't mean this in a bad way, is it because his head is broken? You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah,
Like, the
yeah.
head key might be used to working on people with certain types of brains.
Sure, yeah.
His is probably somewhat different.
Yeah.
Is it because, like, why are his things talking? Or his toys talking? Because I looked at the panel like a second and third time after I realized it's coming from the toys.
The toys, yeah. It's not like it's not like
In
it's
his
like
brain.
in his brain. And
Right.
It's
And-
like the things coming from the toys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he refers to Dodge specifically at that point as a replicant. He doesn't know that he is not the original
He does.
Dodge.
He does.
No, he knows Dodge is bad. He doesn't know he can't know that Dodge is not Dodge. It's just a replicant of
I think
Dodge.
he only calls him a replicant after he talks to Bodhi's spirit. And
No,
Bodhi says
no,
that's
no, no,
not
no, no.
that's not.
He doesn't talk to Bodhi's spirit until after the fact.
Yeah,
Until after the
it
he
happens
starts calling
when
him
he
a
doesn't-
replicant.
Yeah.
Well, he calls him a replicant, or the toys call him a replicant.
Like when he's
in that
talking to the
moment.
toys,
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I
he
see.
refers to him as a replicant.
replicant. Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So that's the thing, is like that was the thing that bugged me the most about this series is, one, you've got this really cool character of Rufus, and then on top of that, you have all of these things, and maybe they ran out of money, or they're not getting.
Yeah, well,
That might have been it. They might have had to close it off, and they didn't get a chance to develop a Rufus story.
The final few issues did feel a little rushed.
Rushed.
Yes.
They
Yeah,
absolutely
especially
did.
like the epilogue.
Yeah.
With what we can do. Let's start from the beginning here and do some general like plot.
Sure.
Sort of follow the plot along. So at the beginning, the opening issue to this is a fucking harrowing like experience.
Yeah.
It's insane. Sam Lesser and some other kid from a high school. So
Al
the
something.
Locke family is out their vacation home or something like that, and basically the father Locke, Rendell Locke is a guidance counselor, and two kids that he's counseled at school come over to his house and basically break in, and Rendell is killed, and Sam Lesser is asking for the keys.
Yeah.
And Rendell doesn't know what he's talking about. He gets killed, and the mother, Nina, is raped. And it's obvious from the panels that she's raped, but it doesn't show any of that, but it just shows the other kid like putting his pants back on, and like blood stains being in the room, and her coming out with her clothes sort of like torn.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She ends up giving that kid a hatchet to the brain, which was like, yeah, that's pretty awesome. But that was like, I was like, holy shit! Like this book is not kidding around, right?
Yeah.
There's no, so it's this tragedy that befalls the family. They end up, and then that scene with the multiple panels is there where they have a funeral. They move out. They're on the West Coast. They move out east to Lovecraft Mansion. Oh no, sorry, Key House. In Lovecraft, Massachusetts.
Yep.
In Lovecraft, Massachusetts. So then the story is basically about Sam Lesser going to jail, but being possessed, coming back out east and trying to find the keys. You slowly find out that he's being manipulated by a spirit in the well house,
Right.
Or a spirit, or whatever it happens to be. So this whole first arc was pretty great and gruesome and harrowing. The way they handled the kid's reaction to the tragedy is just like, it's really great. Like, I love, like, Bodhi. He's just like he doesn't quite get it all, and he's just being a kid the whole time. And the arc that these kids go through the entire series is fucking amazing. Like, they really do, like, you spend a lot of time with them, and they really do, like, grow,
mature. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
So they end up finding these keys in Key House, and all these keys fucking do something. They do something amazing. Like, Bodhi unlocks a door that when you pass through it, you turn into a spirit. Your body's just dead, limp on the ground. You find a key called the head key, and you can open up someone's head and take memories out, put memories in. I think one of them stuffs a book in their head.
Yeah. And then they instantly, that was what caused the fight, was the thing.
Right.
You know everything that you put in your head. You put a book in there, you know that book. You could read that book on demand.
Yeah, exactly. One of the interesting things they do with that is that Kinsey is tired of being sad because so much has happened to her and her family. She takes out fear and like cry, the ability to cry.
That's right.
Sadness.
Fear and sadness she takes out. And you see how I love the personification of fear and sadness. Isn't that just great?
Yeah.
It's just like, one of them is just this crazy shadow witch, and the other one's like a tap.
Kind of reminded me
Tap
of
everything, yeah.
What was that Pixar movie?
Inside?
Inside Out.
Yeah,
Inside Out. Yeah, but she's like literally a tap.
Her fingers are faucets.
Yeah,
everything.
And like, and they put them in a bottle, and then the bottle fills up with her tears, and they're just kind of like swimming in there later.
And she thinks they die in there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you see how it really they in this book examine what it's like. Take out fear and you take out sadness. What's your life like? Is it better? Is it worse? And they really do examine that. They examine like how great it can be, but how you're not really a complete human being.
Yeah.
If you don't have those things.
And
I thought that was really interesting.
Completely tore apart all of her relationships.
Yeah, she just like they all like take a total nosedive.
And she almost gets her friends killed.
Yes,
that's right.
Right.
That's right.
When they go into the caves.
In the caves, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other parts of like the first trade paperback, like the first two, like the Head Key, like Welcome to Lovecraft and Head Games?
Well, I mean, I talked about the convoluted plan of Dodge to come back.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's cool when you look at it. Like, I like seeing all those things line up, and it's like, oh, that's how he had to escape from the well and all that. How he got there is just crazy. Like, it doesn't make sense that he would think of that. But like to kind of get retribution on Lesser was really neat. But on top of that, having his ghost just hanging around the Key House the whole time too, without anybody knowing, was also really interesting.
Oh, that was crazy. Yeah. He's like really, he just feels totally screwed by Dodge, which is the spirit from the well, who ends up being like a demon from another dimension, taking over the body of a student. Many years ago. So.
One thing I wanted to mention too is, and this kind of goes back to Rufus as well. In when I said when their head is slightly different than what would be considered normal. Nina, when she was extremely drunk, was able to see and hear Bode. Her head's also not right there at that point either, right? And she was able to see Bode or Bodhi.
Yeah, she could see him.
Yeah. So I wonder, like, if maybe at some point they could have, they might have been able to get to a story where Lesser was able to be seen as well, right? Or
Lesser has his moment later in the story. So they start finding all these keys, and they have this interesting dynamic where it's only Bodhi that can find the keys. Nobody else can. And it's like essentially the house. The house only allows the youngest. Is it the house or someone made a rule? Someone made some kind of
made a rule,
where it's only the youngest is able to find the keys, and you forget about them when you're older. Yeah. So there's a lot of mystery about the keys in like the first 4 trades, right? Dodge gets out of the well, possesses, like changes into a kid that goes to school. So now it's kind of like the wolf among the sheep kind of story where he becomes friends with the Locke family, and he's looking for a key. He's looking for the Omega key. And this Omega key, you don't really know what it's going to do until later in the story. And there's this really funny montage in the book where he keeps attacking the Locke kids.
Yeah.
And trying to find the Omega Key without revealing his identity. And it's really hilarious, like, when he's doing, like, the panels are hilarious. Like, one of them is, like, a bunch of rabid squirrels, like, attacking the kids, and one of the squirrels is drawing the Omega symbol. It's like, I'm looking for this Omega thing. One of them, they get attacked by wolves, but then the wolves get repelled by Bodhi finds the animal key, turns into a bird, and a flock of birds attacks the wolves. The sparrows, And, like, just crazy shit like that. It's just amazing, like, hyper imaginative.
Yeah.
Hyper imaginative. What'd you guys think of the change in art style there? For that, actually, it was for that sequence where they went, like, Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah.
Like,
pencil
style.
I was thrown off for a second, but then I realized it's kind of a different issue where there's hardly any dialogue.
Yeah, it's all visual.
It's all just visual, right?
Yeah.
And at first I thought, is this a dream sequence or is it something else? But it was kind of, funny and a little fun, right?
Yeah,
I want to say
absolutely.
that, like, that issue was kind of a fun one.
Yeah.
Where, like, not too much serious stuff was going on until the very end.
Yeah.
Until those birds die.
Yeah, the birds
sad.
get massacred.
Yeah, it's like, that was
Completely.
sad.
And the birds, and they end up, the sparrows end up coming back, later in the story in, like, a pretty big way, I
significant
think.
plot point, right?
Yeah.
But I liked it. It was kind of a change. Otherwise you're still getting the same. Not that I was tired of the art or anything, but it was a welcome change for that one issue.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was one of my favorite panels.
Yeah,
in the entire series.
You mean the issue or like
that issue?
with the changing art style.
Yeah, with the changing art styles. That was something I think I mentioned in the last podcast. But that was something I brought up with Gabriel Rodríguez when we met him.
Oh yes, that's right.
And I was like, I love that scene because I wasn't sure if it was because a lot of times, but at times, artists when they do this varying art style, they'll bring in another artist to do that stuff. But that was all him too.
Yeah,
he just did it in a different style, a more childish kind of style, and it was awesome. Yeah. I don't know. It just spoke to me really a lot.
So interesting. Like I don't know. I loved it as well.
And how they portrayed the animals too. Like there was no selfish bone in any of them. Everybody worked together. Yeah, it was just.
They even had like the little the goggles, the fighter pilot goggles, on. It was just hilarious. But then they die, and they're just getting smashed.
Yeah,
they're like kamikaze pilots.
That's
exactly what they were.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
Oh, it was nuts, man. It was nuts.
Just sacrificing themselves.
Yeah. So the animal key was introduced in that.
That's right.
Do you guys remember the music box being introduced formally, or it just pops up?
It was in one of the panels where
it's just a panel where she's like trying to kill.
Yes.
Like it's one of those panels where it's like the squirrels attack them, then something like
it introduces the Hercules key, the flight key I think is introduced in that.
Yeah, so these keys aren't introduced specifically. Like the head key gets introduced, like the echo key, the omega key, the animal key. There's a couple of they get introductions, but these ones I think he just started throwing in panel by panel.
Yeah.
And the best thing about it was I knew what they did.
Exactly.
I didn't need a backstory. No. Like one panel showed me everything I needed to know with the Hercules key, the animal key,
even the music box.
The music box key.
A little more complex, but it worked. One panel was all you needed.
Yeah. It's just like the music is. You record something and you say something. You sing a song and you're compelled to follow the command that's playing from the music box. And he uses it later.
Yeah.
But it's never actually formally introduced. It just in one of the. It's basically like the '80s montage sequence of them being attacked in ridiculous ways by Dodge when he's trying to desperately locate the Omega key. I thought that was pretty great.
No, that was a really cool.
It's a very creative way of just introducing a lot of information without going too much into detail.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily because they're not super relevant to the plot points.
That's right.
Whereas the head key or the omega key are obviously extremely relevant. So you want to spend some time into how they're found or what they do, things like that, right? Or even I forget what it's called, but the fix key where you
the cabinet where she
there was the entire issue was that was amazing. That was one of my other favorite issues.
I was just reading it. I'm like, this is thematically fucking really rich material thematically. And Nina as a character who ends up being the most affected by the fix-it key, or basically a key that opens a cabinet. When you put broken stuff in there, it repairs it. Mm-hmm. And then she tries to put her husband's ashes in there, and then obviously it doesn't work. And she's a drunk. She's basically been drinking her face off since, she lost her husband and was attacked again by Sam Lesser, and it just never stops for her. And I feel so bad for her character, because when Kinsey removes fear and sadness, Kinsey just like rips into her mom in like the cold-hearted fashion. And I was just like, oh, that's brutal. Just to hear that
alcoholism.
From her. Yeah,
that's the other thing. Like they really took on the alcoholism of her.
Nina.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
which was another. This is not an issue, or this is not a series for kids at all.
No.
These are some really heavy topics that they tackle in here.
Oh yeah.
I think the most horrific scenes in these books for me was just after Nina had gotten off the bottle, right?
Yeah.
She was getting cleaned up.
God.
You know what I'm talking about.
It's hard to read.
And
it's hard to read. Yeah.
Bode at this point is, and we're skipping ahead, but at this point, Bode has been possessed, or Bodhi has been possessed by Dodged.
Yeah.
Dodged. Why did I just make him like his past tense?
Yeah.
Bode was dodged. Anyways,
Bobby. B Money.
Dodge is now in B Money's body.
All right,
Bodhi's body.
Bodhi's body.
He's in Bodhi's body, and that's when he calls he uses the shadow key to
yeah.
get the fucking shadows to basically. It was kind of like alcohol rape, really.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be flat out rape.
I thought it was
again.
too.
I'm like, I can't read this. This is like brutal because like they show her like tearing her clothes and
holding her down.
But
and
to
then
me, it was that bad.
Yeah,
because
right.
she was really trying to get away from it. She was doing so well. And then all of a sudden, she's trying to fight it, and just the art is just so powerful.
Oh,
it's brutal to
brutal.
look at,
and they don't shy away.
No,
they shove the bottle in her mouth. They force feed all the wine to her, and like she's just a blubbering, drunk mess.
And her daughter finds her like that, and just completely shatters whatever relationship. Actually,
it was painful. I remember reading that. I was just like, oh,
that one hurt. That one really hurt.
Brutal. Yeah, that was. And it's effective.
It was effective, absolutely. It was very effective.
Even that other issue where she, puts her husband's ashes in there and she's just hoping and hoping. Yeah, that was pretty sad. Like having to go through that. But that's how they find the Omega Key, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because what does he say? He says Rendell had told Dodge back when they were kids that you'll never find the Omega Key over my dead body, and it's in. I was just like, oh, you Rendell. Oh, that's
such
pretty
a
good
thing to do.
Yeah, I think someone actually says that. Yeah, I think Dodge was looking for the shadow key.
Yeah,
and he finds it in like some sort of ink container or something.
No, it was jam, but it was like dark and something.
Dark jam or whatever. And he's like, oh, Rendell. Like, he's like such a Rendell thing to do.
Something along those lines.
Yeah. So, and the other moment was when she dresses up for Rendell, who she's trying to fix with the ashes, and she goes to the bathroom and sees Bodhi there, or not bathroom, or that's where the cabinet is, right?
It's in the bathroom, yeah.
And Bodhi's standing there, and she's like completely out of sorts. And she like thinks, sorry, not Bodhi, Tyler, her oldest son is there, she thinks it's Rendell, and she hugs him and says like, and it's just like a really sad, creepy.
It was really creepy, actually.
Moment, and when she finds it's not Rendell, she's so like taken aback and ashamed and distraught. Ooh, just thinking about it is just giving me goosebumps. It's like I think the most powerful moments have to do with Nina. Like I think she's the character that goes through the most. In the story and comes out on top in the end, but strong
and on top for sure.
It was one I was definitely like looking forward to seeing how it progressed.
I mean, it's interesting. The characters I think I connected the most with were the ones that were the underdogs that kind of came out on top, with Nina, Rufus.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I'd ever classify like Kinsey or Tyler in that, right?
I like Tyler. So I like moments of Kinsey. It's not to say I don't like their arcs, but I like Tyler's growth for the story. It's pitch perfect. It is. It's like every turn of his personality is completely earned.
Yeah.
I think. And man, he's got the fuck. Like I had like this big fist pumping moment. I think there were probably two. One, when they get attacked by the shadows, Dodge gets his hands on the shadow key, and it's like game over. Like the shadows are fucking crazy, aren't they? Like there's a centurion, there's like a samurai, and there's like
dogs and fucking monsters.
But there's like a couple of there's different ones and they attack them, and they're like, and they form this giant shadow that's like like Godzilla size.
Yeah.
And fucking, you see this key before, and it's like this little man, and then there's like a big outline of a man on the outside, and you have like no idea, and it's a giant key, and you have
it's a giant keyhole, and then they step on this key that is like the size of the entire floor. They're like, what are we gonna do with this? And they're like, fuck that. And then they leave, and then this starts happening. Tyler's like, oh god, I gotta go get this thing out of the floor.
And he does it, and he has this fucking great moment that blew my mind. It was like they really... I love when they go for it. They go... In this book, when they go for it, they fucking go for it. He, like, the giant shadow monster is gonna, like, you know, kill Kinsey and Bodhi. And fucking giant hand comes out of the building and, like, comes out of this doorway, and it's a giant Tyler. It's a fucking massive Godzilla-sized Tyler. And the next issue is just page splashes of Tyler and this thing fighting. And it's just, I'm like, wow, they fucking really went there. They totally went there.
I think even leading up to that.
Yeah, actually, can you give me another one of those beers?
I'm okay.
Sudip, you okay?
I'm okay for now. This thing's massive.
Yeah. Supposed to be shared, I think.
I think there's a moment before that. I don't know if I'm making this up, but he drags that key out of the floor, and then he's like, what do I do with this thing? And he just looks up, and there's this window, which is a giant keyhole.
Yeah,
like,
and he just like rams
like
it
a
through.
lamp lights up.
Yeah, that's right. It was just that was one of the big like fist pumping moments. And then so like I love that scene where he's just, and it's just so imaginative what these keys do. Yeah. Some of them are kind of like strange. Like one of them gives you wings, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of like
the vulture.
Yeah, yeah, I guess, yeah.
But you know what's cool about that is the fact that when you start thinking about it, it's like that totally makes sense. When you're a kid, I'd love to fucking have wings, right? So let's make a key. And I'd love to be super strong. Well, let's make a key.
Let's make a key, yeah.
And then it keeps going down that route. One thing they never got into. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously they're making the keys from the whispering metal that they're getting from the thing.
Yeah.
How are they putting...
Like giving it power.
Yeah, how are they putting the power?
They never
go into
explain that.
No.
So just in the interest of having that discussion, so skipping forward, Dodge makes his big move to try and get the keys back. And then
Godzilla.
Yeah, and
Godzilla Tyler stops him from that sprint.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And he's getting so much resistance from the family because they found so many keys. Essentially, it's like a superpower.
Yeah.
Superpower battle. Basically, every time they attack, they know how to use the keys now. And he gets mortally injured, I think.
Actually, at that point, even still through the Godzilla
so they don't get more. He doesn't get mortally injured. He gets discovered as being a doppelganger.
That's right. Because at that point, that's what I was going to say. Is through that and through the montage kind of thing where they're discovering all the other keys, you still don't know it's Dodge.
Yeah.
They think it's a woman still at this point. But then, how does he figure? What leads him to Dodge? Do you remember?
It's the whole side plot about Nina's brother, who's a gay man,
right?
Who is with another guy, and I can't remember his name.
It's Rendell's brother.
Rendell's brother. Sorry, Rendell's brother.
Duncan.
Duncan.
Yeah.
Who is his partner? They go to a bar and
Brian Rogan.
Yeah, Brian Rogan go to a bar and like they get attacked by like
women,
haters of homosexuals, and they get attacked, and at the house. So what ends up happening is what's it called? Dodge has the Anywhere key. We haven't talked about that one. The Anywhere key turns any door, as long as you can picture where you want to go, any door becomes a teleporter. Essentially, you just like walk through the door and you enter the room that you're thinking of.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think he hears that something about like Duncan gets hurt, right? But does Duncan know something? I can't remember why he's even there.
Duncan survives the attack. Well, wait, no, because what's his name? No, it wasn't.
So why is Dodge even? Did Dodge even visit the house? Because essentially,
no, I remember now. Okay, he went in to go after Duncan because I think Duncan had remembered him in some way.
Yes, that's right.
He stole the memory, but it was Brian that had seen Dodge and ran out and got hit by a car. And Dodge's like, well, don't have to do anything there.
Yes.
Brian's the one that tells Tyler about it, and then Tyler goes to
Tyler. Brian says something along the lines of, "Hey, did they ever find that kid that was in my house?"
Right.
It's like, who? It's like, he looked like guess, oh, he had a lip ring.
Yeah.
He says he had a lip ring, and then Tyler's like, oh, you know what? That it could be
sounds
Dodge.
like Dodge.
And then he ends up discovering him when Dodge ends up figuring out that Tyler's been acting strange,
Right.
And that and he start. Oh, my favorite moment. One of my favorite moments is that he's got the calendar. And like every month or every weekend, Dodge has to go to the mainland. That's when they're getting attacked, and it's always Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And he's like looking at it, and he's like Saturday and Sunday. He's like, oh, where's Dodge on these weekends? And Kinsey's like, oh, he goes to the mainland. He's like, okay. So now things start fitting together for him. He figures it out, but Dodge gets the drop on him and uses the music box to hold him in place.
Yeah.
And he can't move. But then Motuku and the detectives show up, and basically he gets busted.
Yeah.
Like through some convoluted, really wonderful pacing and action scene. But he gets. So anyway, since he's discovered, he goes back to the Key House, and he Sam Lesser is just floating around as a ghost, right, the entire time. Someone he manipulated in the very first trade paperback, and he decides to change bodies with him, and he grabs Bodhi, and he basically throws Bodhi and himself through the spirit door, so now their bodies are just sitting there. Mm-hmm. And Sam Lesser races into his body, and Dodge goes into Bodhi's body. But Dodge, who is now Sam Lesser, wants to take revenge on this spirit that screwed him and tries to kill Dodge in Bodhi's body, but then gets bludgeoned to death by Kinsey. So now, Bodhi is Dodge, and has successfully infiltrated the Locke family.
And that was his plan too, because he's like, I totally meant to do this. Yeah. Because everybody was now looking for Dodge. He needed a way out.
Oh,
so
yeah, absolutely.
As soon as they switched bodies, Sam Lesser is now in trouble.
But
he's in the wrong body.
He was worried. He didn't think Sam was going to... Sam picked him up, and he's like, don't do this.
No.
He was taking him right to the well. He was very close to being killed. He was going to
take him to the well.
Was he worried?
Yeah, he was very worried.
Yeah.
He's like, don't do this. Just by chance, Kinsey found out that Dodge was the woman in black, or whatever, this witch or the spirit that's been attacking them, and fucking beats the life out of him. So anyway, so Bodhi's Dodge, and Bodhi continues looking for the Omega Key. He ends up getting it.
Yeah.
And his plan, and then the backstory is revealed, right?
Right.
Essentially.
Right. And they go back into the past and reveal
which is the time key. Right?
Yeah.
The time key and the
That's
the
right. They can actually,
grandfather clock.
And the
so
grandfather
Kinsey
clock.
and Tyler go and see everything that happened. Mm. And so that was kind of nice. Like now you're going into this arc where they're finally explaining who Dodge is, what happened to him, where all these keys coming from, how did they get these powers.
What did you think of the explanation?
It was pretty good. I don't think it was like...
I thought it was very unique.
It wasn't... It did a really good job of filling all... I wouldn't say any holes, but explaining everything that you were wondering about.
Yep.
Especially, I didn't really see that coming, how Dodge is the way he is. Or rather,
that's right.
It turns out that he was actually just
a regular kid.
Like a regular kid. And he was taken over by a spirit. Like, I didn't see that coming.
Yeah. And they hint at that. When he's a spirit, you can see this attachment on his spine. Something's attached to your spine.
Yeah.
So quickly, I don't know what the time period is. It's during the Civil War, I think.
The Revolution, I think.
Or the Revolutionary War. And there's these resistance basically stumbles upon this cave with what looks like a portal, and one guy gets too close and looks in and gets possessed by one of these demons from another. But you're still you, like you still have your personality and your memories. But this thing makes you a real son of a bitch, right?
Yeah.
And he fucking murders a ton of people before he's put down. Mm. They end up deciding to lock the door. And when these demons come out of the portal and don't have a human host, they can't enter our world. They actually just turn into metal.
Yeah.
And that's what they call the whispering metal.
Which is what all of the keys are composed of.
Well, I'm like, this is great. I was eating this whole thing up. I'm like,
Such
it's
a unique
fucking
concept.
dope.
Yeah.
I was eating this whole thing up. I'm like, this is so unique.
Yeah.
I haven't read anything like this. It's so cool.
Yeah, I didn't see any of that coming. I'm like, oh, wow, this is totally... Yeah. Like, you're kind of trying to guess where all these keys are, how they're made. Is it just some kind of...
It's a great payoff.
Yeah, it's this horde of keys that's, magic, but no, it's actually creatures that cannot attach to human host. So they are just magical
metal
items.
Yeah, basically, and they carve them into these keys, and they make a key to lock this demon door, and that is the Omega key.
Yes.
So that's what we're calling him Dodge, but really it's just some crazy demon from the other side who is now in Bodhi's body, is trying to get that key to let all of his demon friends in, or not. Who knows? I assume that he wanted to let all his buddies in, right? Turns out that's not really.
He's just got a small clique he wanted to.
Yeah. Oh, I just love that explanation too.
It's like, you know what? I don't need everybody. Fuck all those guys. Just a few of them.
Oh, it's so great, the reveal when
rule.
Yeah, when he gets all, like, the kids have this party, and he gets all the kids down there, and you think that he's lining all these kids up to have them one by one be possessed by his brethren from the other side. You see Bodhi, who's Dodge, sitting on a pile, this massive pile of whispering metal.
Yeah.
He basically opened the door and enticed all of his demon friends to come out, and they're just turning into metal.
Yeah.
And it's just this pile that's growing and growing and growing. I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, what do I need all of my brothers and sisters for? I'm just gonna make fucking keys.
Yeah. I got Duncan. Duncan's really good at forging the keys.
That's
Let him
right.
go.
Oh my god, so good. So good.
You know what's interesting? I just started thinking of this because, like, we were just talking about, like, how do the keys get made? How do they get their powers?
Yeah.
It's called whispering metal, right? So maybe it's telling them, like, if you make a key with us being the metal, in this configuration, it can do this. And, like, it's
telling them.
Yeah, like, maybe it's a blend of their imagination and the whispering metal saying, if you put together the key this way, it does this power. Something maybe... That's the only... I'm trying to look for an explanation, because I really wish they kind of would have explained that a little more.
There's never a clear explanation of how the keys...
He's forging the keys. Yeah. It's almost like the Locke family is the only one that could do it. Like, because you only ever see descendants of the Locke family making the keys. And even like Bodhi / Dodge at the end says, I'm keeping Duncan.
Yes.
Because Duncan can forge the keys.
Yeah.
When you said whispering metal, I thought you were going to mention when they're forging it, they actually have to whisper to the metal. Like, they have to say, make me wings, or something like that. They actually talk to it.
Or the metal whispers to them.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah,
Justin was saying that the metal whispers to you, and you say, build the key like this. The notches need to look like this.
Because why make them all look different? Why not make them all look the same, right? So
that's true.
I don't know. Anyway, it's just that's more of a theory than anything.
But that's interesting.
I think it's a valid theory. I think it's something that might be...
Did you guys ever read the end of the story, like the guide to the known locks? Oh, sorry, the guide to the known keys?
No, I've gone through some of them.
I didn't read them yet, and I think I'm actually going to dig in, because it's just so...
It's an interesting...
The lore is like so deep, and all the key designs are so intricate, you know?
There's one thing, actually, thinking about what else bugged me was how the rules were made up. Like, they don't really explain that. It's like their ancestor decides that these keys can only be handled by kids.
Yeah.
Or
I can't remember how they do that. They mention it.
They don't really say, like, how... like. It's kind of arbitrary that he can just decide that, okay, no, only kids will do this. And they say why that was done. The rationale was that adults will try to use the keys
abuse
to their... abuse the power.
Yes, that's right.
And kids will just have fun with it because they just have crazy imaginations, and that's it. Right? But they don't really say, like, how he can just have that power himself.
That's right, yeah.
That's right. I know. I was just looking for that moment where they actually explained that in the flashback. So, quick thing, Rendell, the backstory of Rendell is revealed. Dodge is Rendell's friend. There's a group of friends. They all use the keys. They actually use it to put on a Shakespearean play at work, at school.
Fuck it. Back then it's work.
And the grown-ups interpret magic differently. Like, so they're not actually seeing what they're seeing, but they kind of like process it differently, so it doesn't look like magic to them. And they end up hatching this, and this is a big letdown for me. I remember you find out that they go down to the cave knowing that the Omega door is there. Yeah. And they open it on purpose. Right, because they want to make more keys.
They want to make another key.
They wanted to make more keys.
One more key. That's
and
all.
It was Rendell's fucking idea, and he's such an idiot. And I love the fact that they own it. Like, Rendell's not a perfect person.
No,
he made a significant mistake and got his friends all butchered.
And not only that, actually, it turns out that Dodge sacrificed himself in that situation, because Duncan comes running down into the cave at the moment they're about to open the door.
Yeah.
Right? And
He pushes...
Dodge sees him and he pushes Rendell away.
Yeah.
But then he touches the door.
He touches the door,
and takes on the demon that comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
It was never meant for him.
Yes. It was going for Duncan.
He was actually trying to protect his friend.
Yeah.
And instead becomes this evil dude.
Yeah. And I love the fact that he doesn't act it. He's like, no, I'm fine. Nothing happened.
Yeah. That I didn't really touch it.
And then he gets up and he's gonna, in the middle of the night, goes visits Tyler in his bedroom, but they're all waiting for him there. It's like, no. And they all control everything. They have the wings. They have the Hercules key. They've got the shadows. The shadows are just doing their bidding. They have this one thing with an owl.
It was the robotic owl.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I guess it does whatever you tell it to.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah.
Mark Cho, I think, was the character that used it.
And I love that because these characters are pretty fleshed out too for the time being, time that they're in the story, and they're all just. I can't remember how he gets free. How does he get free? Because they let him go.
They
let him go. They took out all the memories.
They took out all the memories, but he's still intrinsically evil. So even without
he's
the
just
memories,
an asshole.
He's just an asshole, and then he finds all of his memories in the in the well house. That's where he finds them.
Yeah, he follows the gym teacher,
right,
and follows her to the well house and gets all his memories back and starts picking off the kids one by one. It's a pretty brutal thing to watch. The girl with the wings in particular.
Yeah,
she gets smashed up to the top of the cave wall. I'm like, this is an awful way to go.
Yeah.
But anyway, he ends up murdering them, butchering them, and how does he?
He dies in the cave himself.
Who does? He does, but he did this thing where he put his memory in a jar.
Exactly. That's the convoluted thing I was talking
so what does he do there? He puts
the head. No, sorry, not the head. He puts the anywhere key and the gender bending key into the thing with his memory,
and drops it into the well.
Not into the well. He gives it to the samurai or whatever shadow and says, "Go and hide this somewhere that she's never gonna find it until the day she does." So it's like. At some point, she's going to find it, and she's going to freak out, and this will happen, but there was no set plan as to, she'll find it this day.
It's leaving a lot to chance.
Leaving a lot to chance, but, he put
it in a place what are the other backups?
That's it. That was the only
backup. But, that's what I mean. It's what other fresh start could he possibly have?
He can't if he dies.
He dies. So, I feel like he didn't have... He's like, this is convoluted and might not work, but, hey, it's better than having no backup.
No, I know. I get that. I'm saying having a backup is completely sound. The fact that his backup was, somebody has to go into the well key, so this memory is going to tell her to go to the well, and then once she brings me back, I'm going to have this key, and then I'm going to use this, but then I got to get back to being a boy, so I have that. It's a lot to come up with in the span of a few seconds.
Yeah, he does it spontaneously. He's like, I should just do this.
Yeah.
What?
Jesus.
You thought all of that?
He's really smart.
He's basically the Lex Luthor of Batman versus Superman in this book.
Damn.
Or even the villain of Civil War. I feel like that guy really had his ducks in a row.
He did. That guy was awesome. Baron, was it Zemo? No, that wasn't.
He figured it out. They're all hanging out at a bar, describing their plans to each other. Each one of them takes 6 hours to explain. Yeah. But yeah. So what ends up happening toward the end? He wants to get he has the Omega key. Gets all the kids having their prom party in the cave, which is kind of like a strange tradition. Gets all the kids in there. Now, the Jordan, who we haven't really talked about too much, which was Tyler's girlfriend, on and off girlfriend during the story, has a pretty great arc because at the end it's her, Kinsey, and Kinsey's boyfriend stuck on this ledge, and they're told that only two of you can live. One of you has to jump.
Yeah.
And Bodhi/Dodge has control of this entire situation. So we don't need to get into the complications of...
It's not even actually... There's pretty grim choices. It's one of you has to kill yourself.
Yeah.
One of you is going to lose all your memories.
Yes.
And one of you is going to be taken over by...
A demon.
Yeah,
that's
Those
right.
are fucking grim choices.
Shit choices. and they have this great panel where, they're sitting there and Jordan... And Kinsey doesn't like Jordan because of what she did to her brother and whatever... And they have this great moment where they're like, we're going to get through all of this together and we're going to do all this stuff after it's all done. And then they kind of turn around, they look back, and Jordan's gone. She jumped off. She jumped off the ledge, and she has this redeeming quality. And it's just like, ooh, that was pretty. It was really like dramatic, like well done moment. They get taken down there. You actually see her body, like she gets smashed against the rocks.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's fucking.
Yeah, you kind of hope that maybe she was saved.
She's like saved somehow,
no,
like something. No,
no.
she is.
No, and things
dead.
get really, really. They go really downhill.
They've got all the kids tied up on the
Some
roof.
are missing
Some
eyes.
yeah,
and
someone's
butchered.
Got, yeah, and there's blood streaming. I'm like, holy fuck, this guy is a twisted individual.
Yeah, doesn't hold back at that point.
Yeah, and that's when you find out that his plan is not to bring in all of his brethren. It's to make more keys and essentially enslave the world. Be the leader of this planet, essentially. In a scheme that makes a lot of sense.
It does, absolutely. It's one of the more like slightly the more slightly convoluted villain plans, but it completely makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that is a good motivation.
Yeah.
Like it's not the kind of cliched like I want to rule. Well, I guess it is kind of I want to rule the world, but like
he doesn't
his
want to
means-
live in that dimension because
exactly.
the dimension's awful, and if he brings everyone over, this dimension's
bringing
going to be
more awful.
it's going to be awful too.
Right. Yeah. So it's a much more like it's a more well thought out. I want to rule the world. It's
And it's also he says that like he's been around in this world for so long and he's gotten used to everything.
Yeah.
You know, he's enjoying himself.
Yeah.
And it's not just a matter of I came into this world, I want to bring everyone else in. So that's what separates him from all the other
Selfish.
demons.
Yeah.
He is super selfish.
He becomes more human in a way.
Yeah, he becomes
Right?
dangerously human. That's his undoing, essentially, right? Which is, it's just great. Just like even talking about that, like I didn't even realize that he's essentially becoming. You're right. He's becoming more human.
Yeah, that's a really great point. I never thought of it that way.
And that that becomes what they exploit. And I love the sort of the winning exchange. Basically, like the way they figure out how to defeat him. He has these couple of guys that have the key that are demons, and Tyler learns how to forge the key, and he has a key hidden on a fish hook that his dad had made him a long time ago.
Metal.
He uses
He
that.
doesn't have the key.
It's just
He
a
has to
metal.
forge
Sorry,
it.
yes,
It's just
sorry.
a
He
metal.
has the metal fish hook that is made out of whispering metal.
Yeah.
So he forges a key, and he calls it the Alpha Key. And the Alpha Key is like the lock turns both ways.
Right.
I was
You
like,
can
oh,
unlock something.
yeah, you can
Yeah.
you can lock something, but you can also unlock it. And he basically I love this thing where they bring the head key close to someone, like the key hole
Peel
appears.
opens up,
Yeah.
yeah.
When he brings the head key, the alpha key to close to someone in their chest, the keyhole opens up and he turns it and he essentially melts the demon inside. Basically.
Well, it brings... Yeah,
It
kind of
undoes.
undoes
It
what they're...
undoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it actually brings back the soul of the...
Yes.
I guess the owner
'Cause I
of
think-
the body,
yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
Right? And separates the demon from the body, but it's still within the body.
Yeah.
And that I didn't see coming.
Oh, I didn't see that.
In fact, Tyler doesn't see it coming either.
No,
He's
he
like,
doesn't
what
know.
the shit is going on here? And
Oh,
there's like,
Tyler, he did. He came to acceptance with.
but
it's
he
gonna
wasn't
cost
expecting
you.
that. He
That
wasn't
they would-
quite that they would literally have metal seeping out of their body.
Oh, I think he
out of their
knew it was
orifices
going
die.
to. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think he knew it was going to kill them when he sees them, like all the orifices of their body, like the metal is seeping out. He's like, "Oh, that's probably the metal, the demon metal, trying to get out."
Right.
But what I mean is, like, I don't think he expected that to happen.
Maybe not. Yeah,
Maybe not.
Like, where
Yeah.
he doesn't think that unlocking the person's soul or whatever the
Basically
demon
reversing the
is going to
process.
kill them
But
instantly.
I think thematically, he's like, if you can't lock and unlock
Exactly.
these doors without
Out of
paying
cost.
some
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
price,
yeah.
right?
He knew that going in. I think his initial surprise was with the British character.
British guy.
Yeah,
What's
it's
his
being
name?
alive.
Being alive, and he's like, "What the hell? You're still alive. You should
like,
be
yeah,
dead."
how
And he's
are
like,
you
"Oh,
even
it's
still
probably
alive?"
the Hercules key because he's still got the Hercules key on."
The Hercules key obviously makes you
Scott Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh, yeah, that's right.
The Hercules key makes you jacked and huge and whatever.
Stronger.
So I thought that was a great moment. Just a really great example of like unique writing and paying off on the mythology.
Yeah.
Like really the world building paying off.
Yeah, agreed.
So then they defeat him. They defeat his army of demon people
Minions.
who have keys. And
They managed to get away with Aaron Voss's memories, who had
That's right.
persisted and stayed alive because
Yeah.
he can't kill a memory, which was an interesting thing that they established before, because they did Kinsey's memories, or not memories, sorry, Kinsey's the tears and the witch,
memories.
they died, but they didn't really die.
Yeah, they're alive.
They're memories. You can't kill memories, and that was the same thing that happened here, because once the cave came down and once all the water went in, all of Aaron Voss's memories were still there. They just lived, and they got to use them and get kind of revenge on Dodge, which was really, really cool.
Oh yeah, the
second they stole away the shadow key, that was like oh shit.
Wasn't that great? Like they climb on him and they like knock the crown off.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they just
and
got the fucking shadows key.
It's
oh,
gone.
So good. So good. And that's another example of the panels. They show the panel of Dodge's original skeleton down at the bottom of the well, and it shows it like 4 times. And on the 3rd and 4th panel, you see something crawling out of the rocks, and and if you look carefully, it's actually Aaron Voss's. Is that her name? Yeah. Memories that were that are persisted until this day.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's so much we're skipping over. It's such a dense like mythology and tremendous, like so many great moments.
Yeah. And honestly, we don't need to go over every single piece of the story, right?
No.
It's more the pieces I think as we go along that are most important. I liked, and we'll wrap up in the next 5 minutes, I guess. But the thing I liked the most too with the ending was it was kind of neat. First of all, him kind of making not amends, but sort of kind of amends with Dodge's character by bringing the replicant back, unlocking him, and just he kind of apologizes and makes a repentance, I guess, for what he had done.
Because he's been aware.
Exactly, he's been aware. And that was the thing, is throughout this whole story, you've never really heard it from somebody who was possessed and saying, I mean, I was there the whole time and it made me enjoy it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. It wasn't my thoughts or my ideas, but that's what it was.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat that you kind of hear what the perspective was from somebody who was possessed by these demons. So, that was kind of a neat way to do it. And then it was neat too, like seeing him, like he basically, or it might have even been Rendell, but having all of these keys on just a big ass key ring. It's but it's a matter of factly. The way that it's portrayed and the way it's drawn is really matter of factly. Like, okay, I gotta get this key, and that's it. And he goes and uses that key.
Yeah.
The fucking power of the gods on this key, right?
That's
like
right.
It's crazy what you can do with that thing. But it's just to him, it's just I look at it like a janitor trying to open things, right? So
just another key.
Yeah, just another key. So it was kind of cool just seeing somebody so powerful not really care about the power. You know what I mean?
Right. Or you mean Tyler? This is Tyler?
I think it was Tyler. Yeah, I had that feeling about Tyler. And then the moment when he got to speak to his dad.
Oh, dude, that killed
beautiful.
me, man.
That was really, really well done.
Like, he speaks to him in the fixing chamber, because, Tyler at one point gets shot, and his mom shoves him into the...
That's when he gets the idea for the key turning
turning the other way.
Rendell tells him that.
But he brings his dad back as a replicant as well.
Well, he calls them replicant, but they're echoes.
Echoes, sorry, that's what I meant to say.
This is the echo. Do you guys know how that key works? Because I have no fucking idea.
It opens the well, and then I guess if you had the key,
you can throw someone in there though. Like you can throw an echo in there, or can you?
No, you can request anybody. You can. The thing is, they can't leave the echo chamber.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can talk to anybody. I thought you had to throw some asshole.
This is when Tyler has his. Not Tyler, sorry. Rendell has his. Wait, I'm confusing.
Which one?
Tyler's the kid. Rendell has his mom in there.
Oh, yes. In the flashback, Rendell goes and speaks to his mom.
So his own mom is in the key.
His mom's the one that's guarding the
wells.
Yeah.
Guarding the wells and the memories, all of Dodge's memories.
Yeah.
She's the one that's there.
That's right. And he even tells his dad, he's like, Dad, I can bring you back.
Yeah.
So Bodhi's body is essentially destroyed.
Yes.
And he dies, and they're all at the funeral, and... It's awful.
And that was kind of weird too. They just like matter of factly, oh yeah. So we realized that Bodhi's spirit has been wandering around. Why didn't we bring him back? Oh, but we accidentally
buried him or cremated him.
Yeah, cremated him. I thought that was kind of hilarious.
I didn't even think they knew. That's the thing. I think that's a legitimate thing, although it is kind of like side mentioned. It's
but it was too
Tyler
late.
never knew that Bodhi was.
Oh right, he would have to go. I remember now. Because there was a moment when I'd seen it, and I was like, he's a ghost. Just jump into the fucking body. It's right there. But he has to go through the dead door.
Yeah, it has to be by the door.
Right.
It can't just
and it's only Rufus who knows.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, worth mentioning, I love the moment where Rufus finds out, like Bodhi's spirit talks to Rufus, and Bodhi tells Rufus, "Hey,
You just fucking
my
chokes
body,
him.
my body is taken over by Dodge.
Yeah.
Don't trust him." He's like, "Oh, okay," and he fucking goes and chokes. First thing he does,
Just starts joking.
he just starts choking the shit out of Bodhi.
No subtlety. It's time to choke this boy.
Like, oh, okay.
But he even says before that, he's like, "Oh, you shouldn't have told me that. I don't handle these things very well."
Yeah.
That's what Rufus says. Turns around and
Correct.
fucking just chokes Bodhi. And Bodhi's wife's like, "What the?" Or Kinsey comes in, Bodhi's
Yeah,
sister.
Smashes
He's like, "What the
him.
fuck?"
Smashes
And
him.
And
Tyler
Tyler
comes in,
smashes
yeah.
him with like a golf club or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that moment, I'm just like, "Oh, Rufus, god damn it."
Tact, boy, tact.
Straight to
And
the
the
point.
whole, yeah, I know, I can go on for ages about this book, but the covers where Rufus is coming back and escaping from the mental institution.
Yeah.
And like they're like
Old-timey comic books.
like
Yeah.
army books like the Losers or whatever, like the
Losers,
DC Comics
or like
Howling Commandos.
Yeah.
Like these old style like Marvel and DC World War II comic covers.
Yeah.
Sergeant
And
Rock.
and Sergeant Rock and stuff. Oh, it's just great. I was like, oh, this is amazing. And then obviously they bring Bodhi back, and he brings Bodhi back in the fun in a way where I'm like, all I can think about is building like software. I'm like, this is how you build. It's like a chain of events that I was like, okay, well, if I use this key,
Yeah. Now I've got a
then-
bird body.
yeah,
If I take
I'm
this
transferring like all the it's like transferring money from one bank to the other and finally getting cash in the end. Like,
Yeah.
it's just like a really weird
Okay,
process.
the bird will sacrifice itself. Okay, then I'll go into the bird's body.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I'll lead it.
Yeah.
And
No, explain it. Yeah. Like,
no, I'm actually trying to recount everything myself. So
a bird flies through a sparrow from
Yeah.
the earlier part of the story flies through the ghost door.
yep.
So now Bodhi's
And
a
now
spirit.
it sacrificed itself.
Yeah, so Bodhi's a spirit.
Bodhi
and
talks to the
bird.
bird spirit.
So
and
Bodhi's
bird
spirit talks to the
spirit's
bird.
like,
That's
Yeah.
right.
The bird spirit's like,
Go.
yeah, go take my body because
Yeah.
like I want to go and be with my friends. And he's like,
Who all
sure.
died.
Yeah, who
they all died
sacrificed
wolf attack,
himself.
like
Exactly.
the wolf attack. So
Yeah.
he goes into the bird body, and now that his spirit animal, I guess, is a bird,
Yeah.
he goes through the door for he
The
goes
animal.
up to Tyler with the animal key, and Tyler's like, all right, I'll open this shit up. He opens it, and then all of a sudden, Bo. And it's like, or Bodhi. And it's just this moment, like, holy shit, we got everybody back. And It
Yeah.
was just this really cool, like,
Did you feel it's a cop out?
it was a happy met.
A little bit.
Did you feel like were you just like, oh
No, I
come
didn't.
on.
I didn't.
I was actually surprised that they didn't rescue Bodhi earlier and just figure
He
out
died,
that,
yeah.
and it's just like, oh yeah, but we just cremated him. It's like, what?
No,
Like, come on, you idiot. And then it's like, okay, so
It's the
so
fastest fucking funeral ever.
right?
right.
So is he gone? And then like they came up with this creative way of bringing him back, but I don't know. It was just kind of it was weird. I don't know if it was a cop out.
Well, if you think about, like, I was trying to, it's like, I had to read it online. Because I read that sequence
to
like
do
3 or
that
4
too.
times, and I'm like, I'm missing something.
How?
I don't
Yeah.
get it. I looked online, and they're like, okay, with the animal key, if you're a human being, and you turn the key and you open, you crawl through, it turns you into an animal. When you come back as your animal, and come back through the portal, you turn back into a human. So I'm like, oh, because Bodhi takes over the sparrow, who is his actual spirit animal.
Exactly.
Who was the animal he turned into when he crawled through the thing many issues earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And he just, it's so funny. It's like using logic in like the
A
most
very obscure
illogical,
way.
like
Yeah.
fucking fantasy. Like
Like you better know your every single detail.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
For it to make sense.
When I read that, I'm like, okay, I get it. But you can tell the last issue, or maybe the last 2 issues, are not. They're like, okay, we're done. We're done. We have to
Yeah.
like
we need to
close
wrap
out.
it up. Yeah.
we need to wrap it up.
And that was something they wrapped up, but at the same time, I didn't feel like it was a cop out, mainly because like if they really wanted to kill that character, they wouldn't have made him a ghost. You know what I mean? He wouldn't be floating around all there waiting to come back in some way. otherwise it's just this kind of tragic ending that doesn't really fit the bill.
Yeah.
Like everything else is this happy ending, but now you've got, the child can't come back and he's a ghost that haunts him.
I actually thought it was going to be like a Beetlejuice situation where they'll find out later that Bodhi's a spirit and they will learn to live with Bodhi as a spirit in the house.
And that's fine too.
I was actually expecting that.
To me, that's the same thing. It's the same cop-out. Because before, they weren't able to see the spirit. We're going to be fucking hammered at all times?
Yeah.
Like, everybody's drinking wine every hour.
Yeah.
Like, a bottle each. That wine cellar gets cleared
Rufus
up.
can see.
Oh, yeah, you communicate to Rufus.
Rufus,
Like, Rufus, what's he saying?
That's right.
So, anyways, that was...
Yeah, that was pretty much it. So Matuku, I wanted to talk about for a moment.
Yeah.
Matuku was I thought it was a great character because they make a reference to his name and it's like the protector or something like it has like an African root and it's like the man whose name means something and it's just like they made something out of that. I'm like, oh, okay, Matuku is going to be like Rufus and he's going to have some kind of antibody to like these keys or like something special about him. It turns out he doesn't.
Yeah.
And
Not
he's
at all.
and they build this relationship between Nina and Motuku, and it like looks like something can come out of it. And Nina's just had such a shit time, guys. Really, such a shit time. I'm like, oh, like Motuku and her. I'm like, I want to see these
romantic
guys.
interest.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is great. This is great. And he proceeds to get stabbed through the chest by fucking samurai ghost. Or I think it was the samurai. It was a centurion, actually.
Yeah.
It might have been a centurion.
Either way, he's butchered.
Heartlessly. I was like, and they don't even give it its due. It's one panel. He's just like,
dead.
And then he's dead. And then they never even.
They don't refer
They don't
to
touch
it.
They don't even talk about it after.
He didn't even get a funeral. They
No,
just cremated him too. Like, get in there!
They didn't try to fix him.
Him and they're together. It's like, sorry guys, we cremated the bodies. Like really.
Everybody, all of them. They just shoved him in. Like, burn them good.
Like Jordan gets this funeral and it's great. Jordan's dad shows up and there's this moment of what do you call it? Like everything ties up there.
Yeah.
Watuku didn't get shit.
No,
I was like, wow, what a shitty deal.
I agree.
And it's only a shitty deal because I actually liked Watuku's character.
I did too.
I thought that he could really add something.
And they
to
made
this.
him a significant character.
They did.
Too.
He
wasn't just like some guy who showed up every once in a while.
Yeah, he was part of the story.
You get invested in him a little bit.
The cop he's with, his partner, I'm like, that guy
he is
fodder.
Dead.
He is a red shirt if I have ever seen one. That guy is gonna die in the most glorious way, and I was just waiting for it. And he gets cleaved in half by like a
I
samurai.
forgot that.
Yeah, and I'm like,
literally in half.
Yeah, he gets cut right the fuck in half, and I'm like, you have served your purpose. That'll do, pig.
Yeah, that'll do.
But then Motuku gets it, and I'm like, God damn
Motuku.
it.
God.
Yeah, so I was a little pissed off about that. I was like, you could have done more there. But small gripe in a book filled with so many great characters, I just wanted one more.
Yeah.
So I'm being selfish. So,
but it did feel like we mentioned this earlier. It did feel like things got wrapped up pretty quick.
Rushed, yeah. It was a little rushed at the end, but I don't know. When is it not really? Like when it comes to a TV show or like a long running book series, it always does feel kind of.
You're not ready to let go, especially when things are good.
Yeah.
I mean, the pace changed, but at the end of it, it was still wrapped up properly.
Yeah, I think they hit all.
There wasn't too much left. Where like, well,
Yeah.
what the shit? No, what happened to this? Or what
right.
happened? I don't think there was much of that at all.
I completely agree.
Yeah. Well, that's basically the whole story. Anything else you guys want to mention about it? Like any moments that really jumped out at you or anything?
I made a list of stuff and we literally hit every single one.
Cool.
I put Rufus, drunken rape, rebuilding closet, Kinsey not feeling fear, Wendell, how was that a good idea? Wendell Locke. Rendell.
Like, who's Wendell?
Wendell.
Another character.
Rendell Locke, how was that a good idea? But
right.
Yeah. Dodge's return, why kids only? We talked about that. And how do they make the keys work?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I got everything. I'm happy.
Yeah, we talked about it, the Echo Key. I wasn't really sure, but we sort of figured it out. But Sudip, any final thoughts on the story?
No, I think like Justin said, I think we hit pretty much all the important topics, covered everything, and it was a very enjoyable, fun read.
Good recommendation.
Yeah, good recommendation.
What can I say? I mean, we've got more. I mean, like we've got more of these types of stories that have endings, right?
Mm-hmm.
like you mentioned Why the Last Man. There is I mentioned Scalped.
Yeah, you've shared that with me before.
That one. Scalped is amazing, and there's a few others that have endings. Ex Machina is another book. That's another Brian K. Vaughan book, I believe. Lots of great stuff out there. So this is just the tip of the iceberg. I'm really glad that we got to read this together. I'm really glad I got to read it and talk about it with you guys, because if I just read it by myself, I'd just be sitting there being like,
You'd be on online forums chatting with random people.
Chatting with random people. Yeah. And these master editions, guys, these are fucking amazing.
Yeah, these are.
If you love, if you
I just
really
picked
like
all
this
these
book,
up, man.
this is from when you went down.
When I went down to DC. I had them all ordered over.
These are beautiful books, and the art is amazing, and Gabriel Rodríguez actually designed these from top to bottom. So they're just really made with love. So if you read the story and you like it, I highly recommend getting the master editions. They are gorgeous. They look good on a stand, like in a library room or with the rest of your books. They're absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah. All right, guys. This has been episode number 10, I think.
Yeah.
Episode something. This is episode 10.
Yeah.
This
Double
is
digits.
what?
Double digits.
Double digits. We've hit double digits. Aside from our weird Dewey Decimal System.
Don't ever say the word.
This has been episode 10, Lock and Key. Thank you guys very much for listening. This is Justin.
This is Atul.
And this is Sudip.
Thank you guys for listening, and have a great rest of your day. Cheers.
Peace.
Peace.